Time is now 6:01 p.m. and I'll call to order our regularly scheduled McMinnville Fire District meeting on October 23rd. First up, we have roll call of directors.
President Garvin.
Here.
Vice President Smith.
Here.
Secretary Pratt.
Here.
Treasurer Trapp. Can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here.
Can you hear us better than last time?
Yes, loud and clear.
Director Hyder. Here. All are counted.
All right, next up, the Pledge of Allegiance
With our new flags.
With our new flag. And I'll call on Chief Garvin to lead it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any changes to the agenda this evening? But I would like to add just under other business, our next two board meetings fall on holidays. I'd like to see what you guys can do about that. Anything else from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Direct your attention to your September 25th regular meeting minutes. If board members had a moment to review those, I entertain a motion to adopt this recommended or any amendments we have, we can have a discussion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Secretary Pratt and a second by Vice President Smith. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have our financial report and summary of fiscal year 23-24 financial audit. And
Several things for you tonight. We're going to turn the mic over to Crystal here in a minute, but we're going to talk about the document you have in front of you, which is just the financial statement recap, the fiscal year 23-24 audit. And then I just want to go over a couple things in your board policy as it relates to audit, since we're getting ready for our next audit, likely next month. So, Crystal, please.
Good evening. So first, we'll go over this recap, this colorful page in front of you. Thank you for being able to be here and present tonight. So this is just the quarterly financials summarized. So this is all departments, all divisions summarized into one document. So earlier in the year, we approved a budget, basically by division, but it has, a certain amount of revenue and expenditures. As listed here, the first column of numbers is reflective of that budget as it was adopted. The second column of numbers is where we are as of September 30th, 2025. So the first quarter of the year, and that's representative of 25% of your total budget. Is what that means. So if we look first, are we okay so far? Okay. So as we look kind of down at the right-hand column, we'll see that of the 25% of the budget that we could have received, we received 28% so far this year. So we're in excess of revenues of where we could be. Couple items that are lagging behind are property taxes, because you do not receive them until November, when most of our property taxes get paid. So we can begin to see some deposits, of course, in October, but mostly in December, and then they trickle in throughout the rest of the year. So that number will go up in the next few months. License, permits, fees is just kind of systematic for when people pay their bill, right? So all in all, we're doing okay, revenue-wise. So that's great for the district. On the expenditures, let's go to the bottom part of the report.
before we move on to that, could you take a couple questions?
Yes, of course.
So intergovernmental, that's nothing's really coming in from that yet. Is that just a timing issue, or is those revenues were maybe gonna be lacking this year?
So there, it is all timing. So, intergovernmental is GEMT.
Oh.
And so that isn't going to happen until
That's the only word you had to say. And then miscellaneous, is that conflag dollars or their revenue?
That's also the remaining, I believe, the one of the grants we put in for.
Oh,
And yes, corporation.
thank you.
And I guess going down the list, other sources.
so that's your debt service.
That's your low, or your
Tax
cap
loan.
loan.
Yeah,
Tax
hand loan.
loan. Yeah, gotcha.
Great question.
thank you.
Mhm.
And so remember, it doesn't mean that we actually expended all of that, but we drew it and then we put it in our LGIP to collect interest. So that's why it shows as taken. It doesn't mean that we spent.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, next section. So I'm gonna kind of go in summary first. Year-to-date expenditures through the first quarter of the year is 15.6%. So that's less than your revenues of 28%. That's good. And then let's go back and we'll talk about each category line by line. So personnel services, we have $11.2 million budget and we've spent almost $3 million, but only slightly over 25%. So that's coming in line. Sometimes you have overtime and things like that are in the summer months, right? So you spend more the first few months of your fiscal year and less in the coming months. So I expect that to be just fine. Materials and services also is seasonal in a lot of ways because you do a whole lot of work in the summer that you don't do other times of the year. So that's materials and supplies. Services are below at 16.2%. Utilities and overhead, which are things like building maintenance and items like that. That's not 12.8%. Professional development or training, travel, those type of things are in professional development. We do have a $25,000 budget for capital outlay that we have not spent anything on yet.
Okay, so that's not for any design of this building.
Yeah, it sounds joke.
Oh,
We haven't spent it yet because of all the stuff, but yes,
That's
that is. Architects.
yeah, design.
We have debt service, of 5.4 million. We've only had bills of 57,000, so all the payments are made that should be made at this time. They'll come due later. We do have a $500,000 operating contingency. And then two, what I'm gonna call ending fund balances. One that is the districts and one that was included in the budget for LoSAP, which is that $910,800. That will not be included going forward because we're not to include LoSAP money in the district budget. So, just so you know, it is here, just so you have record of it, but it won't be there. So do you have any questions about those?
On the debt service, that's the tram loan, the truck in now interest 15 loan, and what else? is
Still the Amy's car, and actually we just made the last payment of that. We just made the last payment of the SCBA bill station. We still have Amy's car. We only have one more of those in the city. We've done all of our debt services, which were the loans that we assumed.
Yeah.
So truck one and engine one is one, and then the other ones were those intergovernmental public works.
it? Yeah, that was like
Three.
some monitors, some.
Heart monitors was one.
I'm sorry, go ahead. We will continue, I think for 3 more years to have PERS transition liability.
Thank you.
So those staff comes out of the budget, this budget that remains, and we'll still get reporting on that.
you'll get reported through Josh and Pete. We're working with Pete and his group to put it where it really should be.
Right.
But we're still home. It just shouldn't be in our budget because it's not money that we can use.
That's all I have prepared for this document. I understand that the district has had different types of reports in the past. One of the questions from the chief and myself and the chief is, does this meet the need of what you'd like to see each month? Would you like it expanded in some way? And if you don't want to answer that right now, next month is fine, but just.
Speaking for myself, I'm fine with the rolled up summary document as long as when we ask questions of detail like we did today, that you guys could break those down so we can peel into those line items. But I'm open to further communication from the board.
This format's easy to understand.
Yeah, I like it. I may come back next month, give us more thought, but this is great. You can use the follow. Interested to see what Treasurer Traff did as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that document in front of me. I would love to see it, and then, but it sounds like it was rolled up real nicely as far as easy to understand. As President Garvin stated, as long as we are able to ask questions, I think it's great.
Treasurer Traff, I emailed it to you, but not very long ago. So you probably haven't had a chance to look for it yet.
We had some updates.
Yeah.
My other question about this, it looks like it's a Excel spreadsheet format. So is it all manual entry or does it need this automated software?
Great question. So it is available in the software. In this format, I've entered it. I hand keyed it in.
It's pretty the QuickBooks / Excel format is not to read, and in many cases looks the opposite, at least from a layperson like me. Everything's red. Looks like we're doing a terrible job, but actually I learned red is good. Black is bad. So it's not user friendly to follow, to be honest.
So this is a structured template that you can just go in and input the quarterly numbers as they come. Thank you.
Was there a standard that you were attempting to follow in this? I mean, you feel like this is everything that we need to know from your perspective? Is there an industry standard for this type of reporting?
Great question. So I've done financial reporting for cities and special districts. It really is up to the board. You want to know your budget to actuals. I've seen it where we get as low or down in the weeds as the division because you actually budget by division. And so another option is to expand this to have, I'm going to call it the full company's roll up, and then you have a division specific spreadsheet that you could also look at, review, those type of things. There's also value to reviewing the checks and the credit card charges that the district spends each month. You know, there's value there.
Mm-hmm.
So some districts approve paying the bills after the checks are cut. That's odd to me, you know, to provide a check register for the prior month and those checks are long gone, right? So I don't see the value of that, but I do think that there's good in the board being able to look at and ask questions. I think that's the most important piece is ask whatever questions you want and then we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, a lot of times the smaller districts that don't have the financial people and backing, the board actually approves the bills. And in this case, you don't, unless it's 50,000 or greater, and then the bill doesn't get processed until it.
So really, we're just reviewing, not approving.
You're reviewing for like if you have questions or ask questions, which they're always available at any time for anybody. We do check runs weekly. So we can provide that at any time. We're trying to we met with Treasurer Traff and President Garvin and the team 2 weeks ago-ish, and asked a lot of these questions like, well, what would you guys like to see? And we can expand and retract. What we don't want to do is give too much information to where then it's not even that, but want to give enough information to where you feel comfortable that like, hey, we're going down a good path. You know, like seeing a whole bunch of overages. Then that's, hey, could you provide us some more detail on that? Yeah, we could do that, but we're happy to provide whatever makes you all.
Appreciate that.
Any other thoughts on the summary document? For now, that was it, and we can always revisit it.
One other goal, and I am going to achieve it this year. We will be doing a 6-month look back with again the 5 of us. That will be a full look back of what have we done for the last 6 months, and then what are our projections for the next 6 months. And I think that would be a good time to provide you the whole, like a packet to the board, so that you physically get to see that look back as well as the look forward. So like, how are we doing at the 6-month mark? We up and down, and we could actually provide more of a detailed report for that at the 6-month mark if you'd like.
And how long will it take you to close out Q1 and Q2 so we can do that look back? Will that be a February thing or January thing?
Probably February. It's probably fair. If you want to build a packet. Plus, we're still working through the bank rec process. So.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other questions around financial report before we move on? Hearing none, we'll move to our public. Oh,
We have several more things for you. You want to talk about what we're working on now and what we've accomplished?
Sure. So it took me a little bit to understand where we were. But as of tonight, okay, so first where we were. The credit cards, the checking account, those items were last balanced in November of 24. We have since balanced all of the credit card transactions and made sure they were coded properly to the correct class. So thank you for everyone, Michelle, and everyone else who's helped with that. Additionally, we have gotten through April of 24 through the bank reconciliation. So that's pretty great, especially since we had to repost payroll for the prior 15 months. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about that. Payroll, whenever you look at a budget to actuals, you want your budget to be, or sorry, your actuals to be gross wages. It was posted as net wages instead. And I'm stating that because that directly impacts how much money you have spent. If you think you've spent this much and actually it should be grossed up, that's definitely a different number. So we're going back and fixing that. And then because of that, we also have to do the bank reconciliations for those months to make sure that they're okay. So we've worked through from July 2024 for payroll all the way through June 2024. And then we're going to do January through June within the next week. And we've also, this report reflects booking the payroll in the correct manner for the current fiscal year. So we just have that 6-month period that we have to fix. But we've still been able to do the reconciliations going forward. So that's pretty great progress. So basically we've redone your books for last year in about 2 months.
The redoing of the books, is it impacting the budget anyway?
No. It will not impact your budget. So what it does do is impact how much beginning cash you have on hand. So the reason that this is blank on this page, like what is my beginning fund balance? It's the first line, literally right here, that's blank. I don't know what your beginning fund balance is for the current year because I haven't got the banks reconciled through June. Once the banks are reconciled through June, I can fill that number in. The other thing that happens is that by law, really, is that whenever the books close as of June 30th and you put a budget in and it's appropriated, everything stops and starts June 30th to July 1. So it's literally a brand new year, brand new company, you just start over. So that's why there's no impact. Yeah. So that's the pieces that we've been working on. Hopefully that wasn't too much detail, but I think it's important to note. Also, I want to go ahead and disclose that I found during the months of January through June 2024, PERS was not paid because it was a brand new district and it takes time to get things set up with PERS. That payment for that 6-month window to PERS was made in July. Because you're on the cash basis of accounting, that means that $500,000 expense will hit the 24-25 budget, the actuals. So it will hit the year that we just finished. Does that make sense? Did I cause confusion?
So the PERS liability was in FY24, but it was paid in FY25.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it's just the timing of when that occurred. So
That will impact the budget.
that will impact the budget.
And so we have the run down reserves, or we have,
Ah,
was it budgeted?
great question. Okay, so the reason I say it will impact the budget is if your budget, let's just say that your EMS budget, for example, was $2 million, and we have to book another 300,000 to that, and it wasn't quote unquote budgeted, then that will be a finding in the audit because you're over that appropriation. So in that way, it'll impact the budget, but overall across the board, the district spent less than you budgeted, not more. So it's not as if you're short money, or does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just say you're out of your percentages, you're over that line item by more than 10%. That's a finding.
It's because, so, no, yeah, I'm gonna write on this piece of paper. So we have divisions, right? You have admin, and then we have fire and EMS and training and fire life safety, and they're non-departmental, okay? Each one of those have a total. And the way that we budgeted is only that total by division. That's our appropriation that we have by local budget law approved. So whether or not those are over by 10%, they can be over by $1 and it's over. That's the finding, is that whatever you budgeted is, I'm going to say that you can't go over that by law.
The 10% is what us as a board could change during the budget process that the budget committee didn't.
Great question. So there is a process called the supplemental budget process. You can change your budget more than 10%. We just need to have a budget hearing. So, for example, I believe there was a supplemental budget hearing in last year. Some of you may have been on the board then. I'm sorry, I don't know that. But during that process, you approved the movement of money from contingency into other items. And so you literally took money from here and you moved it here. It isn't, that's where your 10% rule comes in, is whether or not there has to be a hearing and how it needs to be posted.
Gotcha. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do think, I'm just gonna go a little further. Because somebody's gonna ask me, well, Crystal, is it over 10%? I've always had the best practice that if we're gonna do one, we're gonna go ahead and do a hearing, because it doesn't matter. It's better just to show all the movement of the money, so that way the district is consistent and you're telling the full story.
Any questions around that?
Probably too much finance information. Sorry.
I just wanted to go over a couple things in your guys's, in the board's policies, as it relates to audit and the audit committee. I believe all these are taken care of, but I want to run them by you. So in the board policy, it says the board shall approve the periodic selection of the auditor. You guys approved your auditor originally, but haven't approved the auditor coming says periodic, so you don't have to do it. You want to switch auditors, you guys can choose to switch auditors. We're not recommending that, but I bring it up because that's what your policy says. So I want the board to have the opportunity, if you guys would like to select a different auditor or tell us to select a different auditor. We get to do that.
And they've only audited FY24.
Our recommendation at least, my recommendation at least is that we do at least another year with them. That way you kind of get the apples to apples type of comparison, if you will. If at that time you wanted to look for a different auditor, we could. If you want to stay, we could. But it's just what your board policy says. So
But we only contract with them for FY24.
and FY25, we already have a date
November
selected,
13th.
November 13th. So we've already done that. But as we're reviewing this policy, then we see this.
And periodic is undefined, so we don't have to take action.
You don't ever have to do it. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because it's so I don't know if you wanted to discuss it or good with it or.
I think he's doing what we want him to do and you guys are comfortable with it, but we should change.
Yeah, I think looking at a new auditor every 3 to 5 years is more realistic than every 1 to 2 years. Not that you have to change, but just to do a gut check on pricing and scope of work.
I think Crystal has told us this a few times. Finding an auditor that is at this type of audit is difficult.
Yes, the 3 to 5 year RFP process range of.
And they're just doing the audit, they're not preparing financial statements, right? We're preparing financial statements.
Great question. So they would consider this document not a financial statement.
Yeah.
The document that they prepare within the audit itself is considered the audited financial statement. They're preparing all of that too. Our job is to make sure that our books are clean and that everything's reconciled, and then to turn it over to them for their review. And then they'll build the financial statements, the pure financial.
What they're finding.
Yeah.
And then by your board policy, you have an audit committee, which we've utilized President Garvin and Treasurer Traff. We met internally. They met with the auditor, we're there when the auditor was there that spoke. It does say you have the authority to recommend a different level if you wanted something more. And it also says, there's one other thing. We'll meet with auditors, which we did. So we met with the auditor beforehand, Treasurer Traff, President Garvin, myself, and staff. And then it also says that so yeah, those are the ones that we wanted. They're just part of it. So you could recommend, I don't know if you can do a lesser audit, can you? But you could require a greater audit, like a forensic style audit or something. That's a concern. And you have the authority.
Any desire to pivot on anything, the auditor? All right. Anything else on financials? All right, that'll take us to our public comment portion of the meeting. Looks like we have anybody in the crowd, and I don't see anybody on Zoom. If you would like to public comment, raise your hand. Hearing and seeing none, we'll close public comment. That takes us to our business action required, which is the approval of submission to the state auditor correction letter.
I'll start, but Kristen will get in more detail. Just a reminder, the correction letter is specific to what we talked about during the budget committee, which was the $1 million that was carried over from the McMinnville rural, and it was placed in our taxable income instead of just income. We corrected that. That's already been changed. We didn't budget that, but this is the official correction, if you will, on it. So, Crystal,
So it's FY24, the rule checking account basically.
that's right.
So the only addition I would make, you did a great job, Chief. The only addition I would make is within the audit, there's certain items that rise to the level of corrective action. Those have to be presented to or given to the state within 30 days of the audit being filed. And so that's what this is. And once we sign that by motion, then it's done. So thanks.
Any questions around what we're having from us to vote on? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of submission to the state auditor, the correction letter for FY 24 on the rural fire district fund.
Make a motion of approval of submission, state auditor around rural.
We have a motion on the table by Vice President Smith. Second by Director Hyder. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That'll take us to our other business tonight. First up, we have board committee and liaison reports, and I'll call on Treasurer Traff for anything regarding LoSAP.
Nothing earth shattering. I just have an update on our fund balance as of September 30th. The balance is $965,004.69. That's a change of $624.61.
Any questions for Treasurer Traff on LoSAP? Hearing none, that'll take us to board information report. So you look at your calendar, our next two meetings fall on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so I wanted to see if you guys wanted to pivot that one direction or another.
The Thursday.
Double time.
Is there any preference on looking at something that week or looking at something a week forward or a week before, and keeping the same Thursday, same time? Fast perspective, is there any thoughts on any of that to move it forward or back?
I'm available and we'll make it available. I do know that some staff is on vacation week of Thanksgiving, but it's not. So if that week, the Wednesday or something like that work for you, we can make it happen.
So I would personally like to avoid the week of the holidays.
Probably a good idea.
Week after is challenging for me, but
Week after of Thanksgiving is challenging for me.
the 20th could work great. Want to do one earlier?
So if we had November 20th and December 18th, that same time, same place. That would be Chief. Treasurer Traff, any concerns with bumping it forward to the fourth Thursday? For the next two meetings?
No concerns there. I am working the 20th. So I would have to join via Zoom, but in December, I am off that day.
Okay. Good. We'll make those adjustments in our meeting postings. 11:20 and 12:18. Anything else from the board for informational items? Hearing none, we'll move on to department reports. And first up is Local 3099, and I see Union President Godfrey online.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. Two things to report tonight. We did have our softball fundraiser for muscular dystrophy. Unfortunately, I don't have the hard numbers in front of me as it's hunting season, and so my treasurer's been absent ever since then. But as most people can probably understand. But we had a great turnout. Your McMinnville firefighters took third place this year, and everyone had a really good time, and we raised some money for a good cause. Second thing I have to report, unfortunately, is that in this last pay cycle, we did have a few members with inaccurate pay stubs and checks. It sounds like that's getting remedied, but again, we're having some payroll issues at times. So that's all we have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, President Godfrey. And next up, we have volunteer President Pete Goodman with pancake report.
Okay, I got you. Hello, everybody. So pancake feed went off pretty good. Thanks for the board members that came to help and the district members that came to help. We think we served about 1,100 guests that day, so it was a pretty good turnout. The weather helped, or I think the rain helped, kept people from going other places, so maybe they came for pancakes, because this is one of our largest turnouts we've had. A couple other things I got is the academy has started. McMinnville Fire has 7 or 6 volunteers in the academy, and from around the county, there's actually 34 altogether. And I think this is like the largest year we've ever had for that. November 2nd, we're doing Christmas decorations on downtown. It's a little change from years before. MDA wants that done for November. I think they're trying to start Christmas early or something for that. Comcast is going to help us with that. It's Sunday. We're not doing breakfast for that. November 8th, we have the Veterans Parade. And we're going to have an engine in that. And then the truck's going to fly the flag at the Yamhill County parking lot, former OMI parking lot. November 23rd is a Sunday, and that's when we have our usual Christmas decorations put up. Water and Light helps with that, Comcast, and we have a breakfast for that morning. And November 28th, we have the Christmas parade for decorations. And then the chief has the Christmas party on the list already, so that's about all I have for this month.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So we have fire chief's report, starting with division report.
Are you gonna start?
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Give a quick facilities and fire marshal update. Facilities front, fairly quiet overall. I haven't been to a meeting in a few months, but a couple months back, we did end up replacing the concrete at Station 12's driveway. And our landlord was very generous to split that cost with us. So the ambulance over time has been away for so long. So Lucian was kind enough to help us with that. Facilities front also, we are currently looking at updating our elevator maintenance contract for Station 15. And then we did a small modification to our landscape contract. Nothing minor, it was $125 a month. So any questions on facilities? Fire Prevention Week was this month, October 5th to the 11th. We did a big push this year. We had the safety house out as usual at the schools. Short school week that week, so we had some logistical issues. So we ended up having to reschedule Grand Haven and Washer. We do Washer as a convenience to and as support of McMinnville School District with Lafayette. So those are scheduled for the 29th and the 30th next week, and we're going to have Lafayette Fire also out there. We coordinated with the fire chief from Lafayette. So this year's social media push was also big. NFPA was charging to fire safety, lithium fire safety. So we did a big social media campaign, and then we had some banners at the pancake breakfast and some flyers. So NFPA is pretty good with putting that stuff out available to
fire departments. Code enforcement wise, we're humming right along. This time of the year, we're kind of work the industrial area, Riverside, a lot of the commercial stuff. We're at 567 initial fire inspections this year, which is pretty good on track for us. New construction, miscellaneous stuff through town. Probably our biggest project right now is we're doing Stratus Village. So the first two buildings that are closest to 18 there, we're doing temporary, we call them TCOs or temporary certificate of occupancies. We're starting those inspections next week with the building department. They're planning on occupying the first two buildings and getting the clubhouse open by December 1st. So with phase two being probably early spring, but 175 units. So pretty big apartment complex. So yeah, but it's coming along. They've been, the superintendent and their team has been really good to work with, as well as the building department. Just a quick update. I think the last meeting was when we brought out Compliance Engine, which is our third-party vendor that's intaking all of our inspection testing reports for fire protection systems. We started that project on August 15th, and I checked the numbers today. We've received 173 inspection reports. The cool part about this program is it does run the data, and we're showing 95% compliance with what's been submitted, which is a good test run. We don't have all the data for a full year, but at least it's a good test run to show that 95% of what's been submitted of our sprinklers, alarms, underground hood systems are fairly compliant, which is a pretty good number to start with. So that's a strong number. So I'm going to keep monitoring that data for you guys, and hopefully we'll get a good push on that and get some better data for the end of the full cycle for August of next year.
The next steps on that 5% is it go to like a manual review, and then you guys go out to an inspection if it doesn't get past the manual review?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Essentially, what Compliance Engine does is when they get submitted, the vendor will actually put in there what deficiencies are noted, and it automatically uploads into a deficient versus a non-deficient system. We chose actually with the importing of both of those. Some departments only take the non-deficient, but part of this process is we're trying to capture occupancies that might not be in the system. So we're reviewing everything. It's kind of cool because one of the things that we didn't have when I showed up here is we didn't really have a good private fire hydrant testing system or database of any kind. And when I went to Mac Water and Light, they didn't have a good, because naturally they're not public. So we're using this because vendors are already out testing, and we've already captured about, I think, 6 or 7 places that we didn't have as underground systems being tested. So kind of both. It's a way to develop data and to make sure we're on top of inspection and testing, but also to help cross-reference the data that comes in with ESO. And I had a meeting with them with Compliance Engine last week. They're currently working on their acronyms, APLs, to hopefully be able to cross that data into ESO in the future so that everything's tied. That's the only challenge we have with that program right now is we do have to run concurrent databases, but we're not a huge fire district, so it's still manageable. So it's a cool program, and it doesn't cost us any money. So it's great. Any questions? Lastly, I just want to invite all the board members. We're going to be handing out Halloween candy on Friday is it next Friday? Yeah. Next Friday, 31st. Downtown 3rd and Evans. We're going to be across from Serendipity. We'll have all our booth and all that stuff set up. So if you guys want to come hand out candy, it starts at 4 and goes till 6. It's always fun. And entertain any other questions you guys have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I do not have an ops report tonight from Chief Hannafin. She is covering me. The Chamber of Commerce has a legislative event with several local individuals, and so she's at that. On the training side of things, as Captain Goodman talked about, we do have 6 new students and 6 new volunteers. We're fairly rapidly getting the students checked off to start being able to ride, and actually in some cases there's scenarios in which they actually can ride. We actually had a student help cover the game the other night who's an EMT. So that's going really well. We taught the first day of the academy we went back to the old school way, like Vice President Smith, when we started, where the academies will switch to different organizations every weekend, which is, I think, nice because number one, it doesn't put the burden on one organization, but also two, the new volunteers get to learn the county. So we switched to that. Chief Schoaf was the lead on that. Had several volunteers. Do you know how many were out there? Half dozen or more. Helping out.
We had about 5 from McMinnville, and then the other districts, they all brought 2 or 3 stations.
It was a good cadre of instructors and persons. It's a big academy group, like Captain Goodman said, but it went real well. Chief Schoaf made a lesson plan and got everything all through. We're just finishing up our ladder truck checkoffs for driver. You guys will probably see the last week or so, we've had the Itch 1 crew switching over to the ladder truck. Get some of their drive time running calls in the truck. So you'll probably see that more often. Captain Goodman also went through the checkoffs. That really just helps bolster our ability to put the right piece of equipment on the right fire. So something that, if ever has been done, has not been done for a long time. And I think it's pretty exciting. Chief Schoaf also was the lead on that. We have, again, I don't know if this has happened before, but we have monthly trainings where all career staff come in and train on the fourth Wednesday of each month. Predominantly, that's always been EMS training. We've switched that up to where we're going to do kind of an every other. Be fire-based 1 month, EMS-based 1 month. It's real difficult for our career staff to get out and actually do real hands-on training. They're the only engine or one of very few medicunits in the county. So this will give them an opportunity. The career engine will still stay in service, but we rotate what shift that will fall on, so that if the engine does have to be gone for a lot of the drill, but it'll bring 40 some odd people to the drill grounds all career, and we have multiple scenarios for them to manage, and in many cases get their checkoffs. In some cases, the student checkoffs or the probationary employee checkoffs, as well as ladder truck driver checkoffs. So it's going to be a pretty big event. It's coming up in a week. So have a guess.
What's the date on that?
I believe it's the 5th. November 5th. So we also have a burn house that we're going to incorporate into that will be utilized in December, but we're going to utilize it also. So we'll be at the drill grounds, as well as the city of McMinnville has a house that for them. That's training. From my side of the world, been a rough month, if you will. We're working with Water and Light on the fees, as we've discussed in this meeting several times. I did meet with Water and Light's attorney, John, and the mayor, and then on our side, President Garvin, myself, Michelle, to kind of discuss paths moving forward, or potential paths moving forward. Kind of get the information, if you will, out there. They subsequently had a work session. It was just this Tuesday. Michelle and I, actually, President Garvin was there for a different reason, but Michelle and I watched it. And they're still discussing their path forward. So we haven't personally received a reply back from our letter. There is a letter that they wrote, they put in their public packet. But we're still going to continue to work and try to come to some sort of resolution on that project. We met, as I've said before, we met with the city. The city's working on potential for Station 15 staffing. Hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be hearing from that. And I did have a meeting today. YCOM Board of Directors has a user group that is looking at YCOM fees. if what was proposed today came to fruition, it would be about a
Where's the color?
like 19, just under $19,000 increase. Pretty significant. The director from YCOM said that would only really net them about $150,000 of excess revenue, which is my understanding is the intent of this is to try and get their budget up, which concerns me significantly because if it's only 150,000 and she needs 4 additional FTEs, which is kind of what they were talking about today, that's $500,000. You're talking very significant increases to our budget. So we're monitoring that. We are 60.78% of the fire side of Wycombe's budget. Amity's at 3.2, Carlton 2.6, Dayton 4.7, Lafayette 3.1, Sheridan 11.5, Yamhill 2.7, and Confederate Tribes 11.1, and we're 60.78. The projected $227,507. This year, I believe we were right at 209. Last year, we were at 100. So concerning, but we'll continue to work with that group and see where it goes from there.
When they identify a need to bring in additional revenue, they change the formula so everyone pays a little more. Is that what it is? So take a larger share because of our percentage.
Working through that right now. Okay. There is a proposal. It's a proposed change from what it was in the past. Right now for fire, the proposal is the number of calls in which you run. But I asked today, well, what does that mean as far as, we're cyclical, right? We might have a real big year, but in a real low year, real big, real low year. I don't think that, and the committee's new, just to be fair. This was the first committee meeting on this topic. We didn't speak about the IGA the last couple of months, but so I think there's more to follow on that. I think there's a proposed path forward, but I'm not sure that will be this step path forward. That's all the great news I have for tonight.
All right. Any correspondence? Thanks for the report, Chief. No. Informational item.
About most of them, except for the Christmas party, December 6th, Grand Ballroom. We'd love to have all of you there. It is it's for everybody. The volunteers put this one on and kind of host it. We absolutely help from a management side of things, but then the district puts on the awards banquet retirement party. It's also for everyone. So it's a shared. We do have an events committee that incorporates all of us, administrative line as well as volunteer staff, and we work together to put these on. We're well into that process. So Grand Ballroom, 5 o'clock, December 6th. Flying back from Vegas, so I expect all of you to be there. Flying back out the next morning. Jenny, do you want to talk about the toy drive for me? I don't have the, or Ty, if you have the dates of Jenny can.
She not on.
She's
I'm
Go ahead,
on,
Jenny.
sorry. I had to turn my audio on. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so the toy drive planning is going great. I'm not sure if any of you knew, but our longtime toy drive organizer, Nancy Law, retired this year. And so she was a wealth of knowledge and information, and she retired. So we're kind of, well, we're not starting from scratch because we have Chief Hannafin, who did it for many, many, many years, leading us. We've got a great team of people working on the toy drive. We've got the playbook, and we're just splitting things up a little differently this year. And the main change that we are making is that we are starting the donation process earlier and ending it earlier this year. The reason being is that it is always such a crazy scramble at the end to try to get all of the gifts wrapped and organized and tagged and boxed up and then maybe bagged up because it's raining, all of that stuff. And our goal is to try to get it done a little earlier so that we don't put so much pressure on our volunteers who are coming to help right at the last minute, right before Christmas. So we're really hoping to push the toy drive earlier this year, get toys in earlier. We are going to have a social media campaign that goes with that. We've reached out to all of our community partners who we partner with every year. We've got almost all yeses back, and we're still waiting to hear from a few, and they're all on board with starting in the first week in November. So that's where we're at right now.
Thank you, Jenny.
You bet.
I think we are going to increase our drop sites to all 3 stations this year. We're working with many of our civic groups, Rotaries and chambers and things like that to help wrap kind of as a community event. So they've done a lot of work. I'm very happy with where they're at, and I think it'll be a good year this year for all the kids. So
The toys start the first week of November, and are we collecting through?
do you know the end date, Jenny or Ty? Do you know the end date?
December 22nd is going to be the delivery. That's the Monday of the week of Christmas. And we're also going to be hosting several wrapping parties. If you guys and your spouses are interested, we are going to implement a rule this year that we don't have any school-aged children wrapping just because of confidentiality reasons. But if you and your spouses would like to come wrap, we will have those schedules available starting next week if you guys want to come and help with that fun.
We'll get
All right.
set up.
Thank you, Jenny. Anything else? All right, with that, our next meeting will be Thursday, November 20th at 6 p.m. here at Station 15 with the Zoom option if needed. And anything for good of the order? Hearing none, I'll adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:58 p.m.